Welcome, everybody. As Amanda said, this is our first members-only event of the season. This is not the 2020-2021 season that we expected to have, but it's what we got, and I'm really excited and proud of what we've put together for you all. So I'm so pleased to introduce MARGO Hall, Bay Area legend, wonderful actor and director and person. You've seen her at ACT, at Cal Shakes, at Berkeley Rep. Hi, MARGO. I'm going to continue singing your praises for a moment. You've seen her at Marin Theater Company, SF Playhouse, many, many others at Aurora. You may have seen her in Trouble in Mind a while back, and recently in Exit Strategy last season, just a year ago, which I directed. I was so happy to get to work with MARGO for the first time on that show. I want to start off by just acknowledging the context in which we're having this conversation, which includes, of course, a global pandemic, but also continued police violence against the Black community, an administration stoking racial hatred, which manifests in more violence against the Black community. It's a very difficult time for a lot of different reasons. MARGO, I want to start by asking you, as artists and maybe even just as people, what is our role in this moment?
Well, first, let me just acknowledge as well that this has been a really hard week. I'm happy to be here and happy to speak with all of those folks that are here, but it is with a heavy heart. It's a lot going on, and I just will roll into that question because I think for me personally, my role as an artist is to find a way through this and find a way to bring all of these feelings and thoughts into the work. And I think that if we can find ways to continue to tell stories of African American folks and continue to educate the community about who we are and our humanity, I think we will come closer to finding a way to combat anti-Blackness and also to honor those who have been murdered and just unjustly stopped by the police. And I think that continuing to learn about a culture, any culture, helps people to understand who those people are. And as artists, that's part of our role. And I think it's also part of our role to show joy and to show love so that we can continue to come together and find ways to make it through all of this. We live in a world of make-believe on the stage. We pretend a lot. We create an illusion. And when things get so real, it's like we have to really acknowledge that it kind of goes beyond a play. I think we do the play to start a conversation. We do the play to bring community together. And from that, we find a way to deal with the reality.
You were a founding member of Capo, Santo, and I know you've worked a bunch with that company, and I've seen several of their shows and just have so much respect for that company. Tell us a little bit about Capo Santo and how it got started and what its mission is.
Yeah. Be a bit louder. Okay. Can you hear me better? I'll be a bit louder. Sorry about that. Well, Capo Santo, it started with Luis Edouard, Sean San Jose, and Michael Torres. And they saw me in a reading I did. And I was very new to the Bay Area. I got here in like 91. And I think it was around 94, because Brandon was born 95. Anyway, and they saw me in this reading, and they were like, "We want you to join our company." And I said, "Well, who are you guys?" And they said, "Well, we're this group, and we do radical theater. We do theater that nobody else wants to do, and you just seem to have the spark and understand that kind of theater." And so I remember Dina Martinez said, oh, they're asking you to join Capo Santo. You got to do it. You got to do it. Just trust, just trust. And so I said, great, well, let's go. And so I joined my three brothers, and we embarked on this journey of a company that just exploded in the Bay Area, in San Francisco. And we did all of these plays that were raw and kind of just provoked the audience. Playwrights gave us plays that no one else would do. They said, they're scared of these plays. Would you all do them? Yes. We grabbed onto them, and they would let us do them for like $1 because we didn't have any money, right? So our commissions were like $1. And like Naomi Izuka and Octavio Solis and all of these writers who had these very brave plays. And we just took them on, and we had this great little space, an intersection for the arts. And we worked with Jessica Hagedorn, and then we started getting these writers. We did a co-production with Word for Word, and we did our first Word for Word story. It was a Greg Sarris story called Joyride. Greg Sarris saw that show. You know, Greg Sarris is a novelist, and he said, oh my God, I want to write a play. So then he wrote his first play with Capo Santo. Same thing with Dennis Johnson, National Book Award winner, saw a production of one of his short stories and went on to write a lot of plays with us. So then we started branching out into writers coming and saying, we want to write a play with your company. And all of our work basically started with pages. We would have like 10 pages. We would ask a question. What is the question? We wouldn't try to answer it. We would just develop a play around it. So our processes were 2 and 3 years long. We really didn't care. The play at the end was the play at the end, right? It was great. We did it for 4 weeks, and then it disappeared. But the process and bringing in community and talking about what do you think this play is about? And again, working with these writers, our playwrights were in the room. One of our statements was, we don't do dead people.
We have a question. Somebody's asking if you could tell us more about what brought you to the Bay Area originally.
Yeah, sure. I graduated from Catholic University of America in DC with my master's degree. I got a job at Arena Stage in my last year. And if you're not familiar with Arena Stage is a huge regional theater in Washington, D.C. Molly Smith runs Arena Stage. And I got a job there, and they were forming a junior company. So I was a junior company there for 2 years. I met Peter at Arena Stage. He was jobbed in from New York to do a play called Playboy of the West Indies. It's the story of Playboy of the Western World set in Trinidad. So we met during that play, and then we got engaged, and he was living in the Bronx. And so I stayed, we were married for 6 months, and I was still at Arena Stage in the theater company. Eventually I moved to New York, and we were there very briefly, and he got a job at Berkeley Rec. Tony Taccone auditioned him for Major Barbara. I guess that was 91-ish. And he hired him on the spot. And it was like, oh, we're going to California. This was before Brandon, before all of that. And so we came here, and he did that show, Berkeley Rep. And then someone asked him to do another show. And then they cast us both in a show, Salome. Salome didn't happen, unfortunately. And by that time, we had said, let's just move here. Why not? I never thought I'd live in California. It just wasn't on my radar. It was very much Midwest. I'm from Detroit originally, Midwest, New York. Was gonna, hit the ground in New York, work between there and Arena Stage. So it was a big deal when we decided to move here. And then that show got canceled. And we were like, oh my God, we live here now. Let's stay here. And so that began our journey. And I think it took a little while for me to get some traction. And the first play I did was Unquestioned Integrity, the Hill Thomas stories. It was about Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas. And it was done at the Magic Theater. Ellen Sebastian Chang directed, and it was written by May Hunt. For those of you who've been around for a while, you may remember May Hunt had But that was my first show. Yeah, and that's how I ended up in California.
Thank you, Margot. Again, thank you. This was just such a blessing to have you here and get to hear you expound on all of this. We really, really appreciate
Great
it.
question. Thank you.
I think we're gonna wrap it up there. More questions are coming in, but I think we're out of time. So thank you all so much for being here, Margot. Again, thank you, Amanda. Thanks for making this all happen. And everybody, thank you so much for becoming members of Aurora Theater Company.